Yeah, and what we're hearing right now is that Senator Scott is en route, or he may actually be on the ground here in Florida to meet with former President Trump at Mar-a-Lago before the two then fly to New Hampshire, where Scott will officially announce that endorsement this evening during a rally with former President Trump in New Hampshire. If this turns out and these reports definitely turn out to be true, this would be a shot, obviously, to former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and Republican presidential candidate, of course, as Addison was just talking about, who, after really coming in second place in the Iowa caucuses, really needed to do well, turn out a W, turn out a win in New Hampshire in order to really continue her campaign. Of course, she has the endorsement of Chris Sununu there, so that, obviously added to the momentum. But right now, she's really neck and neck with former President Trump, who leads by some percentage points if you look at some of the latest polls in New Hampshire. So this, endorsement by Scott would be a shot to her. And remember that during one of those GOP debates, both Scott and Haley got into a pretty feisty debate. There was definitely some fisticuffs between the two of them on the political stage during one of the debates. So, it's obviously a big turn and would be a huge endorsement for former President Trump. And this obviously, Bob and Katrina, fuels the speculation and discussion if Scott will then be possibly a running mate to former President Trump, presuming that he is indeed the GOP nominee. So we're waiting for a little more information. Obviously, the reports are coming out, but we'll continue to follow it right here. Guys, back to you.
John, Heidi, appreciate that. Breaking news indeed. And joining us now to discuss, the host of America Right Now, Tom Basile, plus senior contributor from The Federalist, Ben Weingarten. All right, Tom, I'm going to start with you. Breaking news here. How important is Tim Scott's endorsement for former President Trump? And also, you know a thing or two about Tim Scott because you were the first, I believe, to interview him when he announced his run for president.
Yeah, this is a really big deal, and the reason is Nikki Haley is the one who appointed Tim Scott to the United States Senate to begin with when she was governor of South Carolina. So the idea that he's not going to endorse her, that he's going to endorse former President Trump, this is a real shot to the Haley campaign. Look, Tim Scott is incredibly articulate. He's very well liked. He's very well thought of in Washington, and he has this incredibly inspirational story. And he's got the ability to talk to certain audiences that Republicans oftentimes either ignore or don't really have the ability to connect with. He's very, very good at it. He wasn't great in the debates because he's a little bit more of a Southern gentleman. He doesn't like, that rough and tumble politics. But he has the potential to be an extraordinary asset for the Trump campaign.
Ben, what do you think?
I agree with the take, and I think beyond the fact that he likely does have vice presidential aspirations, I suspect at this point, and that this is a potentially, maybe not a knockout blow to Nikki Haley, if Iowa wasn't a big enough knockout blow anyway, but a blow it certainly is, coming on the heels of South Carolina. But also, I think what it illustrates is that the party is coalescing around Donald Trump. For whatever holdouts there may have been perceived to be, look, you had Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, now you have Tim Scott. Everyone in the party is starting to align. And that makes sense, ultimately, and I think it's going to make sense for Ron DeSantis soon to drop out as well and get behind him, because you have to focus your resources on your political opponent at the end of the day.
You don't think the timing was an accident, do you? On the heels of
oh,
South
absolutely
Carolina?
not.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah, no, and interestingly enough, Tom,